Now, for the first presentation, Jonathan Corso for the US Economic Development Administration.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jonathan Corso, and I am the Georgia and Alabama Economic Development Representative for the US Economic Development Administration. I'm located in the regional office here in Atlanta. Next slide. This is our mission statement. I'll let you read that at your own leisure, but all you really need to know about EDA is that our mission is all about creating jobs and attracting private investment in America's most distressed regions. That's been EDA's mission for over 50 years, and that will always be our mission. We lost the presentation for a minute. All right. So to help accomplish this mission, we have a number of different grant programs. These are all grants. We don't do loans. We have construction grants. These are typically used for public infrastructure projects like water, sewer, road, rail. We also fund the construction of small business incubators, workforce development centers, and under some very limited circumstances, we can finance the acquisition of machinery and equipment. But what we need in order to participate in any construction project is we need a committed private sector beneficiary, a company, who's willing to make specific job and private investment commitments to the project. We can't do speculative projects, can't use EDA as an incentive tool, and you can't pirate or steal jobs from other states. We need new jobs and new private investment. The other types of grants we have are non-construction grants. These are used for feasibility studies, technical assistance reports, engineering studies, things of that nature. Now, while we don't need specific job and private investment commitments, what we do need is we need for the project to be focused on economic development. We can't use our non-construction grant funds for community development activities. Eligible applicants to EDA include public bodies such as cities, counties, and development authorities, Native American tribes. Economic development districts in Georgia, we call those regional commissions. There's 12 of them. Colleges and universities are eligible, and nonprofits are eligible provided that they receive local government support in the form of either a support letter or they can be co-applicants on the project. We don't want to be involved in a project that the local government is opposed to, so that's why we get their buy-in for anything. To be eligible for an EDA grant, you must be located in an economically distressed region. We have a number of ways of measuring economic distress, but the simplest and most straightforward way is we look at county level per capita income or unemployment data. If you have especially low per capita income, you can qualify. If you have especially high unemployment, you can qualify. You don't need to meet both criteria, but you probably should meet one of those. If you don't, you can still qualify if you're able to show a special need. A special need might be you've suffered excessive 12-month job loss. You can show outmigration. You can show underemployment. Perhaps you've had a natural disaster. There's lots of ways to make your region eligible. We give you great flexibility there. And if your project is strong, really strong, then we'll try to figure something out. It's very easy to provide us with an eligible project. It's much more difficult to provide us with a competitive project. So we have a number of factors that we look at to determine how competitive a project is. One thing we look at is the cost per job. And of course, we like to see a low cost per job. For EDA, that's about $5,000 per job. We also like high private investment. For EDA, that's about 22 private dollars for every EDA dollar. So if you request $1 million from EDA, then we like to see, on average, about 200 jobs and about $22 million in private investment. Of course, it varies from project to project, but that's generally what we try to achieve. Investment priorities. EDA has about 6 very broad investment priorities that cover a number of different areas, but they include projects that attract foreign investment in the United States, projects that assist companies export out of the United States, brownfield redevelopment, green infrastructure, projects that support industry clusters. We have a whole slew of them that help to make the project more appealing to EDA. Cash match. Regulations allow for in-kind match, but cash is more competitive. We typically fund projects on a one-to-one basis. So if you have a $1 million need for, say, a water line, our grant's $500,000. Your non-federal cash match is $500,000. Also, lastly, the more distressed you are, the more competitive your proposal is. Our application process, we have a rolling deadline. You apply at any time, although you do need to be mindful of the federal fiscal year, which begins October 1st. Typically, we run out of funds in any given year in late May or early June. So if there's any urgency to your project, you should come in before that time. When you do apply, there's a 3-phase process. The first phase is what we call the proposal phase, and that's a very simple application. We ask for a little project narrative and some project maps, and from that we're able to determine project eligibility. Assuming your project is eligible, we write you a letter and say you've entered into the second phase and we need a full application. When we receive the full application, it goes before the Investment Review Committee. If they think it's a good proposal, you will enter the third phase, which is further consideration. The further consideration phase consists of a letter which asks you for 8, 12, however many items we need to complete our due diligence. You receive that letter, you work on the information that we're asking for, you send it in, and if everything checks out, you get your award. Now that whole process, much abbreviated process, takes 90 to 120 days. That's when we can give you a decision. When we receive, or we can give you a grant normally in that time because most years we don't have a federal budget, and so we're not able to make awards in the most timely manner. But you do get an answer from us at least, and so you'll know something's on its way. When a federal budget is passed, there's usually a backlog of projects that we have to get funded that we weren't able to during the non-budget period. But in any case, you'll get an answer from us in a pretty reasonable time. Grants.gov is where you get the application off of. We accept both paper and electronic submission. We prefer the electronic submission, and soon enough we will be going to a paperless environment. But for now, we do accept paper, so you're still welcome to do that. EDA.gov is our webpage. It has a lot of good information about the application process and the agency, so be sure to check that out. So I want to spend the last few minutes talking about regional projects, some projects we've done around the state. EDA, regionalism has been very important to EDA since its inception 50 years ago. Our big partners in the field are, of course, the regional commissions. There are 12 of them in Georgia, and they all serve as economic development districts for EDA. As an economic development district, they receive a yearly planning grant from us, and with that planning grant, they're able to engage in economic development activities in their region. They hire economic development staff, and they assist communities with their different economic development projects. As part of the requirement of the grant, they provide to us and the region a 5-year, what we call Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, or CEDS. And that CEDS is developed with the help of different economic development professionals and practitioners in the region, including bankers, planners, different elected officials, educated workforce professionals. Whoever really makes sense in that region to serve on that committee is supposed to serve on that committee, and they help drive the economic development agenda in that 5-year plan. The next 5-year plan is due September 30th, and that will cover from now until, I guess, 2022. So we'll be seeing those in the next few weeks. EDA has no specific definition of what we call regional. We do that on purpose. Rule of thumb is it's usually multi-county or multi-city. Anything less than a county, we don't really consider a region, census tracts and that sort of thing. If you can make the case, if you can make the argument for that, we'll listen to it, and if you're compelling enough, we may accept it. But generally speaking, we're talking a multi-county, or at least a county is what we would consider a region. So this first project here, City of Livonia, we made an award back in 2010 for $256,000 to improve the water and sewer in this particular greenfield space that needed a new hospital. There were 2 hospitals in both Hart and Franklin County, the Cobb Memorial Hospital and Hart County Hospital were the two rural hospitals that were suffering financially, and so they decided to merge and create the Ty-Cobb Regional Medical Center. That was later sold to St. Mary's, I think a year or so ago. But anyway, it's a great example of just two communities working together to address their needs and certainly take care of the needs of their populations. And you can see this hospital as you drive up I-85 going towards South Carolina. It's on the right. It's very easy to see on the highway. So, second regional project we worked on. This is the University of Georgia at Griffin, their Food Product and Innovation Center. And what they do is they conduct research and development on new food products. Entrepreneurs, researchers use this facility to develop new types of food, candy bars, power bars, different juice drinks, and that sort of thing. And a way to think about it, and this example is used over and over again, is Gatorade. University of Florida developed Gatorade 30, 40 years ago, and that's type of work that goes on in this facility. They worked very closely with the Development Authority, the city, the regional commission to develop the center. They'd already been there for 20 years, but they had outgrown their space, and they needed a new facility so they could accept more work and more contracts. And so we made, I think, about a $1.9 million grant to construct this facility. It's been open about a year and a half or so. So go check this out if you have an opportunity. Final project, Georgia Southern University. This is their Innovation Incubator and Fab Lab located in downtown Statesboro. Fantastic project. The city, the county, the university, state, local, downtown development authority all worked together for several years actually before they called me on developing an incubator in the downtown. We provided about a $1.1 million grant to acquire part of the building and rehab the other part of the building. And in this facility, they have all of the Georgia Southern's business programs or small business development center. They have room for 20 entrepreneurs, most of whom are engaged in some sort of engineering related type business. Really just a fantastic project. They put a ton of money into it, a ton of work, and it allowed the Georgia Southern University to get away from its campus a little bit and get into downtown and really help with the redevelopment of the downtown. And the hope is that a lot of these small businesses will then graduate from the incubator and take up residence in some of the vacant storefronts that might exist in Statesboro. So 3 projects, really proud of them, and they're doing quite well. My contact information, if you have an idea for a project, call your regional commission. They're very helpful, of course. You can call me directly. I'm happy to come down and visit, or you're always welcome to come to Atlanta. But I'd be happy to tell you about our programs and how we might be able to help you.